Hey, everybody. Welcome to the One Day Closer podcast. I am your host, Jay. I'm going to say your humble host. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a special treat. I know I touched on some things last time and told y'all it's going to have the first time we were going to have a guest. So that'll be today, but we'll do a little quick recap. So, in the last episode, talked about some of the struggles where I was having to be reevaluated for PT, so there was a delay. And then there was also the situation I was running into where I couldn't get my main chemo drug because Blue Cross wouldn't pay for it. And ultimately, we got that resolved, and we'll touch more on that in the future. And of course, the moving into the apartment, having to change apartments. And our guests will have some perspective on all of that because they were around for all of it. So, let's say, thank y'all for joining again, and I hope y'all enjoy this because I'm surely looking forward to this episode. This will be a good experiment here. So, without further ado and all of that, y'all have heard me talk about my brothers, Sean and Huey, coming to help out. Well, today we are graced with my brother Huey. Say hello, bro.
Hey, hello, everybody.
All right.
Nice to be here.
Welcome to the world of podcasting.
All right. Sounds good.
This ought to be interesting. First time for me, right? Having a guest. Huey's actually been around because Huey does music and stuff like me. So he's been from day one and even before as I've tried to figure out how to be able to do this production at home and building a studio where I could do it. So, so much to talk about. But bro, man, we'll just kind of jump right into it. My last episode, I talked about finally getting discharged and the challenges, right, that came with that. And, Sean, I told everybody how Sean was there and y'all two would tag out.
We did. Yeah. Sean came in first and when you got discharged and he was staying in the apartment with you. And when he left, I came in, I spoke with him just to see what your needs were, And he filled me in about where you're at and everything. And so we took it from there.
Yeah. Tell people, because I know, everybody's heard my perspective and Christy's too shy to get on here. So just, from your perspective, where was things at in my existence?
Yeah, well, before I came over, the last time I saw you was in the hospital. You were in the bed,
right,
bad shape. Bring you burritos and stuff, something to eat over there and stuff. So, and then, of course, I kept in touch and followed you. And like I said, after Sean came over and he told me, the things that you kind of needed and how you had to eat and everything. And like I said, the first thing, one of the things was that, that I thought I helped out with. Sean got your bidet. Yeah. But you couldn't turn the knob. You couldn't grasp the knob.
Yeah. And to tell you real quick, some of y'all might know we talk about a bidet like for your toilet, right? Like to get to help rinse. You can buy an aftermarket one, which was recommended to me by therapy. And so we get one. My brother Sean installs it, which that's its own story right there. And all of that to find out I couldn't use it, right? So that's where Huey comes in.
Sean was cleaning Jay up to that point and everything, and which was I was willing to do. And
you had done actually.
Yeah, and I had actually before. Point, And but what I did was I saw that little knob and so I pulled it off. I said, wait a second, I got a little metal putty knife in my toolbox here. So I made a handle for it. And it worked out great. And
it did.
And Jay went in the bathroom, whatever, and to use it. And all I heard was cold the first time we turned it on. So it worked.
It worked, and it was hooked to the cold water, no doubt. It's amazing how I got used to that cold water,
Hey, man, a lot of people nowadays. Anyway, so, that was one thing. And another thing I remember at the time, Sean was saying, you have to cut Jay's food up real small, and he'll just peck at it like a bird because he didn't have the strength in his arms and everything.
No function.
No function to feed himself.
No function.
Up to that point, I was spoon feeding him and everything else.
I was determined to get my independence back. It didn't matter how it was going to happen.
And I'm going to say this point right here. This is Jay did, and just spending that month with Jay, I could see him progressing. He's between his determination and his physical strength was coming back. Baby steps, a little bit at a time, but we could see the progress, though. Like I said, it came to cutting his pieces of food where he could eat it like a bird, like a bee, to slinging it up with his arm there.
What was that? We were talking before the show, but we were talking about the McDonald's incident, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, double cheeseburger, extra ketchup, extra onions, nice and moist. And Jay said, he was in my truck, and he said, just open it up and put it right here. And I put it down right there, and sure enough, he got his arm, and he grasped it, and he slung it up to his mouth, and he did it by himself, man. So
that was the first sandwich of any type that I was able to feed myself using my hands. Two hands, two arms, and some gravity to put that thing in my mouth.
Yeah. But like I said, baby step, and that was a step in the right direction. He looked at me and said, we both look at each other. He's like, I did it, man. Like, I got it by myself.
I think back, when I think back of those days, and of course there's thousands of those kind of memories, and how we are today, shoot, just, Yui's been staying with me now for about a month, or at least definitely 3-4 weeks almost. And of course, there's been a lot of meals in it and all, and I just, shake my head sometimes, and we laugh about, hey, you remember when you had to feed me this burger, and when we had some burgers the other day. But crazy times, man, crazy times. But no doubt, right? I mean, because you've been able to witness my miracle
yes.
from the start,
yes. Yeah.
And I mean, who would have thought that would even be close to this? Golly, the other day we played golf. What the heck, man? Right? Was that just
18 holes, man?
18 holes, yeah, charity golf tournament. I can't remember if I talked about that in the last episode or not. But wow, right? To even think that I'd be able to do that, right? Much less be able to walk and do that. So some crazy times. I tell you what, though, man. Another thing, we talked about that move. So,
big thing.
In the first episode, or not in the first episode, but in the last episode, I talked about how we had all the trains, man, shaking that darn apartment 24/7. And so we lucked out and got an apartment on the other side of the complex. But what I didn't tell everybody was that basically you had to make that move all by yourself, get our whole entire apartment moved.
Hey, that's why I was there. I was there to help, man.
So we had to get creative because it was across the whole complex and down one floor. But luckily we were able to get there inside the same building,
which was cool.
Yeah.
One thing
they
cool
say,
about
be resourceful, right?
We were resourceful. Everybody in this apartment complex had these little beach wagons, I call them. Something you can carry all your chairs and stuff on the beach, but to unload their groceries from the parking spot, to in your apartment, you can load it all up in one trip. But Jay had gotten his chair. He didn't have his van yet that the chair would fit in, but he had his power chair, and he was using that a lot. And when we made the move, we would hook like 2 wagons up to Jay's chair, and Jay would bring it down the hallway and stuff, and it worked out pretty good, man. It made a little train.
A little choo-choo train.
A little choo-choo train.
That's for Alexa, because I couldn't lift anything, right? But they could strap everything up to the back of my chair. We'd have 3 wagons.
Bungee cords.
And with the bungee cords. And I'd be like the conductor dragging the whole train to the elevator where Yui would go ahead and then put all the carts in there. And luckily, the one floor down and the apartment was right there. And man, there's no telling how many trips, huh?
Yeah.
How many trips that was.
Yeah, a lot of door stoppers, a lot of bungee cords. And
scuffed up the chair a little bit.
Yeah, for all y'all that don't know, these chairs fly, man.
Yeah, even with 3 wagons on it,
they
gear.
Fly, man.
My God, that's some crazy times, but wonderful times, right? And we got it done. You got it done. Actually, I said Yui had to do probably 90% of that by himself, and that was crazy.
Yeah, it was all good. Like I said, just the month I was there, just to see the progress that Jay made, it was pretty amazing, man. I say, God bless him. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Like I said,
amen to that, bro.
Yeah, it's the way he's come nowadays. But like I said, after the burger incident, that was progress, man. And just to see that happen, and moving along toward, I was bringing Jay to therapy and stuff like that, and the whole idea of Jay living in an apartment was to be close to his, therapy and stuff like that to work out, and ultimately drive his chair over there, and
get well enough to do that.
Yeah, to be able to do that. Christy working at night and stuff. He wanted to get to be independent. That was the whole thing, to get Jay's independence. Feeding himself,
Yeah, the other thing, you remember my CPAP
The
at night?
CPAP. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and people don't think about like what caregivers go through, but and I've talked so much about what Christy's done and all, but to give you an idea what Huey's day would have been like during this time when he was staying with me. I mean, literally in the morning, I'd wake up, right? He'd have to get me dressed for the day.
Yep.
Get my teeth brushed. I wasn't brushing my teeth. I think might have around that time been able to kind of get my teeth cleaned a little bit. I think you were still brushing it.
I think you were holding the brush kind of like and let it rest on the countertop.
Yeah,
moving your head up and down.
Yeah, hey, look, I was determined to be self-sufficient, but then, like I said, to get my food prep, and then, of course, all the things during the day, but then at night, right, get me into my pajamas, and back then I used a CPAP, and if everybody's familiar with the CPAP machine, so you got to put the mask on. Well, of course, I couldn't do it. Huey would have to do it, or whoever was staying with me, but one of the cool things that was kind of like our milestone. Huey's like, hey, you got to be able to do certain things for yourself, before I would leave you. And one of them we used that was, and I was so happy. And it was funny. That's God. I wish we had video of that. But what it was like, what I had to do to get that thing on, the sheer, how hard it was, but the determination. And, But I think that was so typical, man. At that time, I was so determined to be self-sufficient. I didn't want to be a draw on anybody, but also I knew each step, like earlier you were talking about baby steps.
He figured it out.
Each step, and that's really what the whole life's been up to at this point, is those steps. So we talk about taking a chair. So when Huey was finally got to a point where he's like, okay, bro, you look like you can do this on your own, and he talked about me taking my chair. So I literally would drive my power chair. It's about 6 blocks now. Wouldn't you think about 6, 7 blocks, probably from the apartment, to the Spain rehab outpatient, still at the hospital. And those were some interesting routes because you got to remember, I'm driving that chair with the stick shift at this point, not the chin drive anymore, but still interesting driving, right? Dodging cars and the streets and the crossings and all that good stuff. And one of the things that just used to make Christy cringe sometimes is I'll never forget this guy, and I don't know, bro, how much I've told you about old James. James was a homeless man I met. There was a McDonald's in between Spain, right, and in my apartment. So I would go. I'd have my wallet would be literally like a little necklace around my neck, and but I could kind of get the debit card out. So I was so happy to be able to stop at stores right at that point, right, get more independence. Well, as a homeless guy who would hang out there. And so James would always help me out, right? Get the door for me. So I say, hey, let me buy you some breakfast. And he turned down, he was so funny. He turned down the food. He goes, man, I would just take a cup of coffee, and I'm like, no, let me, so I buy him a meal and we share a meal together. He was shocked that, I sat there and ate with him. But it's funny because me and him kind of formed a friendship. And Christy was always worried. Christy said, they're going to knock you off, and take your chair or something like that. But he lived under the bridge by the railroad tracks, not too far from the apartment. And so I would see him when I would go, what was that, Railroad Park, right? Right there, Railroad Park. And so Railroad Park in downtown Birmingham, if anybody's familiar with that area. And so I would see him in the park, or I'd run into him at McDonald's, and he's a good man. We a lot of times we look at homeless people and think, it's all their fault. And trust me, he took responsibility for probably more than his share of the hand that life dealt him to get there, but he was determined not to stay there, and he was doing the things to reverse it. And like I said, hopefully my conversation and my story, my journey, hopefully inspired him. But he was kind of in a do not quit, and he hadn't given up on life. So it was good times, and things like that, driving that chair back and forth. You got to experience. So. Good times and crazy times with that. I'll tell you another funny one. Huey used to, obviously when he was driving me to PT, I would do a lot of therapy in the pool. And after therapy in the pool for an hour, then I would shower off in their showers and get dried off. Well, of course, I could kind of stand under water and rinse, but I couldn't, still couldn't towel myself off. So Huey had to towel me off. And what you always like to say, he made like a dental floss out of me. Was he took the towel and as I dry my back, and then sticks it between my legs and goes back and forth like he's dental flossing my butt crack and all there. So we still joke and laugh about that.
The first time I did it was like, whoa.
Yeah. Hey, it worked. It worked. It was a hot locker room,
Yeah,
too, man.
yeah. It was
good,
all good.
Hey, good times in the pool. Talk about making baby steps. Golly, that pool therapy.
That was excellent. Pool
was
therapy,
so
man.
good. Yeah, so good on me.
And then you started therapy with your arms and a little pedaling machine and all that. But the pool therapy that really helped. And like I said, I had other people over there also. Jay made a lot of good friends. I made a lot of good friends between all the therapists and the people in therapy over there.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely
it's
some good
an
people.
Amazing place, man. My goodness.
The staff, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of other patients we met, but golly, was that staff not just awesome?
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable.
I can't sing the praises of Spain Rehab
Amen,
Hospital, inpatient and outpatient.
Yeah,
it really did so much for us at that point.
Yeah,
so
pretty good, man.
Well, I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate that part of it, man.
Hey,
I'm going to talk about a few other things. I tell you what, stay on, man. We're not going to turn you off.
Right.
I'm sure some of the stuff you remembered.
All right.
But
I'll hang around.
I hope everybody's enjoying the conversation, man. I like having it. But it's also about that time in my life in recovery. Me and Christy were able to do that weekend getaway up to the lake. I don't know if you remember when we did that, bro. But man, oh man, you want to talk about? For me, it was more of a mental retreat. We got from like Airbnb. It was up on Lake Gunnersville, which is beautiful. If anybody's up in that part and wants to vacation there, my gosh, that's a beautiful area. And I call that my mental retreat to be in a hospital all those months. And gosh, I think that was probably late August when I did that. And I was able to walk. I didn't have to bring the chair inside the house. I could walk in. We had a house that had a handicap ramp, but able to go in and milestones like that. But oh my gosh, one of the ones, boy, good thing you were not there for, bro, was when my mom had to come stay with us. Well, she didn't have to, I guess, but it was good. She came and stayed with us for 2 weeks. Her house was damaged from Hurricane Ida. So, she lived in the New Orleans area, and Kenner in particular, for those that know the area. And so we come up with a plan. She was due for a visit to see me anyway. So she called a ride up and stayed with me a couple of weeks. And so luckily our apartment now had 2 bedrooms. So we were able to get her comfortable. And some interesting times though. But wonderful to have Mom up there too. And I know she was probably just as glad to get back home after. Didn't you go down there and help with get some repairs going?
Sean did.
Okay.
Sean and little Sean, I believe, and did the roof and everything.
Yeah, maybe Kevin got in.
She had a lot of damage. She had a little roof damage and some sheetrock collapsed in. Yeah. Kevin was there.
Yeah. So while she was up with me, they were getting her house taken care of there. So I worked out 2 birds with 1 stone. And then I tell you what, while I got you, bro, I was gonna hold it off to another episode. Actually, I'm looking at the time. We'll probably go ahead and wrap this one up. But I tell you, with that being said, I hope everybody enjoyed this extra episode. One thing I wanted to touch on, lately I've been having a message at the end of it, and I noticed one went a little long, which I'll keep the message short. But when I was at church this morning, we're recording this on Sunday. And, we always talk about God's timing, right? That his timing's always on time. And it seems to be never early, but I promise you it's never late. But one of the things a preacher was talking about this morning was how when we're thinking, hey, God, why don't you do this? Or why did it take you so long to do this or that? But he has facts that we don't, right? He knows all. He knows the whole situation. So we get desperate in some situations, me included, right? We talk about my illness and all these things, but it all happens in his time. And then, like I said, that was a great reminder that it's in his time because he has all the facts, right, bro? What we face, man, life is so crazy. So with that, we'll go ahead and put the wrap on things. If you want to say goodbye or any closing words, bro.
Oh, yeah. I want to thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast, brother. It was fun. I enjoyed doing it. And, I'll keep listening, people.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. I know I've told everybody, golly, man, we're probably over 1,200 downloads now, and all these different states and even countries, So I hope, man, like I said, if it helps somebody in their journey, or even better, that it leads somebody to believe in Jesus and trust Jesus and give their life over, then and even better. So with that, I'll remind everybody to always have faith. Always trust in Jesus, right? He can carry it. And remember, He knows facts that we don't. Trust his timing. And remember, live your spirit.